Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today, we will learn about the explosive developments coming your way this Wednesday, December 31st, as Port Charles residents face life-altering decisions and dangerous situations that could change everything we thought we knew about their relationships and loyalties. Cody Bell finds motivation in an unexpected source. In a heartwarming, yet revealing scene at his apartment in the Quartermain stables, Cody Bell finds himself having a one-sided conversation with his most loyal companion, out back. The adorable sandwich-stealing dog sits attentively before him, sporting a sparkly gold bow around her neck that catches the light with every movement. Outback responds to Cody's internal struggle with an enthusiastic bark that seems to carry far more wisdom than anyone might expect from a canine confidant. The timing of this moment is particularly significant given that Cody recently finished mentoring Danny Morgan on the intricate art of executing a long con, specifically one targeting Drew Kane. The irony isn't lost on viewers as the tables have now turned, with Cody finding himself in need of the very encouragement he so freely dispensed to the young Morgan. Whatever challenge Cody is facing has clearly tested his resolve, pushing him to the brink of surrender. The situation appears far more complicated than anything he's tackled before, causing doubt to creep into his usually confident demeanor. As Outback's persistent barking fills the small apartment, Cody experiences a breakthrough moment of clarity. The message in his faithful companion's vocalization suddenly resonates with him in a profound way. "You're right, I am giving up too easily," Cody exclaims with renewed determination, his voice carrying the conviction of someone who has just rediscovered their fighting spirit. This pivotal exchange between man and dog demonstrates that sometimes the most important encouragement comes from the most unexpected sources, reminding us that persistence and loyalty often go hand in hand. Curtis and Jordan navigate the complexities of reconciliation. Across town, Curtis and Jordan Ashford find themselves sharing an intimate moment over glasses of wine, engaged in a serious conversation that will determine the trajectory of their future together. The atmosphere between them crackles with tension and hope as they weigh their options and consider what path forward makes the most sense for both of them. Curtis takes full responsibility for past mistakes, telling Jordan with complete sincerity that the only person who was selfish in their complicated situation was him. Effectively countering any guilt or self-blame Jordan might be harboring about their relationship challenges. The focal point of their discussion centers on whether this is the right moment to fully pursue reconciling their relationship or if they should exercise patience and wait a while longer. Jordan has been carrying significant concerns about how their reunion might affect Trina Robinson, whose feelings and well-being have weighed heavily on her mind throughout this entire process. The complications of blended families and past hurts have made Jordan cautious about moving too quickly, worried that rushing into reconciliation could cause unintended damage to the people they both care about deeply. However, the Christmas holiday brought an unexpected and beautiful development that may have shifted the entire dynamic of their situation. Trina reached out to Jordan with a heartfelt request for forgiveness and acceptance, marking a turning point in their strained relationship. This emotional breakthrough came after Trina discovered the truth about her parents' marriage, learning that her mother Portia was the one who had committed infidelity, not her father Marcus Taggart as she had previously believed. This revelation fundamentally altered Trina's perspective on Jordan's relationship with Curtis, removing a major obstacle that had been standing in the way of their potential reconciliation. With this newfound understanding and Trina's blessing, Curtis and Jordan now face a decision that could reunite them permanently or set them on separate paths once again. Jason Morgan disappoints Britt Westburn on her special day. In the elegant Quartermain breakfast room, an awkward and disappointing conversation unfolds between Jason Morgan and Britt Westburn. Britt, eager to celebrate her birthday with someone she considers important in her life, extends an invitation to Jason, hoping he will agree to spend the evening with her for this special occasion. However, Jason delivers news that visibly deflates her hopeful expectations, telling her candidly that he doesn't think he can be the company she needs tonight. his tone apologetic but firm in his decision. The timing of Jason's refusal makes it particularly difficult for Britt to accept, especially considering everything Jason has recently done for her. Just recently, Jason performed the heroic act of rescuing Britt from what could have been a serious jail sentence, using his considerable influence and resources to ensure her freedom. Beyond that dramatic rescue, Jason also stepped in to mediate a financial crisis at Cafe Sherry when Britt and Brad Cooper found themselves facing a massive bill they couldn't possibly pay. His intervention saved them from considerable embarrassment and potential legal trouble, making his current rejection of her birthday invitation feel like an emotional whiplash. Despite the disappointment that clouds Britt's face, viewers can rest assured that Jason always operates with valid reasons for his actions and inactions. His decision to decline her invitation isn't made lightly or with any intention of hurting her feelings. As their conversation continues, Jason will provide Britt with an explanation that clarifies his reasoning, though it remains to be seen whether his justification will satisfy her disappointment. Britt now faces the prospect of celebrating her birthday alone, a scenario she clearly hoped to avoid by reaching out to Jason in the first place. Valentin and Carly's dangerous alliance reaches a breaking point. High in Carly's attic, a tense planning session unfolds as Valentin Casadini and Carly strategize their next moves in an increasingly complicated and dangerous game. The atmosphere is charged with urgency as Carly warns Valentin in no uncertain terms that he cannot afford to screw this up, emphasizing that they absolutely must make their plan work. The stakes of their collaboration have never been higher, and any misstep could prove catastrophic for both of them. Their primary objective revolves around taking down Jack Brennan, a formidable adversary who requires careful planning and flawless execution to defeat. However, the methods they've been forced to employ are taking a serious toll on Carly's patience and emotional well-being. She has grown exhausted and frustrated with having to maintain a convincing girlfriend charade with Brennan, playing a role that goes against every instinct she possesses. The constant performance required to keep up appearances is wearing thin on her nerves, and her tolerance for this dangerous game is rapidly approaching its limit. The situation has become even more complicated and personal due to the involvement of Jocelyn Jacks, Carly's daughter, who has found herself increasingly entangled in their dangerous schemes. Jocelyn has reached her breaking point with being manipulated and used as a pawn in other people's plans. The final straw came when Vaughn was sent away to unknown locations, a decision made without proper consideration for the consequences or the people affected by it. Now Jocelyn finds herself in yet another perilous situation, actively spying on the dangerous Jen Sidwell and his crew while visiting her uncle Lucas Jones at the imposing Windermere estate. The danger surrounding Jocelyn adds another layer of urgency to Carly and Valentin's plotting, as they must now not only focus on defeating Brennan, but also ensure that Jocelyn's risky surveillance activities don't result in tragedy. Next, we will learn about the explosive possibility of Nina Reeves setting her sights on yet another one of Carly's romantic interests. And this time, it's the enigmatic WSB agent Jack Brennan, who might find himself caught in her web. The pattern continues to repeat itself in Port Charles, and longtime General Hospital fans have witnessed this scenario play out time and time again. Nina Reeves has developed quite the reputation for gravitating toward men who have shared intimate connections with her longtime rival, Carly. The history between these two women reads like a soap opera within a soap opera, filled with betrayal, manipulation, and romantic entanglements that seem to follow an almost predictable pattern. As Carly's relationship with Jack Brennan rapidly deteriorates and heads toward an inevitable conclusion, speculation is already swirling about who might swoop in to comfort the soon-to-be single WSB operative. The writing appears to be on the wall for Carly and Jack's romance. What started as a relationship built on mutual attraction and genuine intrigue has crumbled under the weight of deception and broken trust. Carly, never one to tolerate betrayal lightly, has reached her breaking point with the handsome and mysterious WSB agent. The revelations about his true nature and his manipulative tactics have shattered whatever foundation their relationship was built upon. Jack's decision to recruit Jocelyn into the dangerous world of the WSB without Carly's knowledge or consent has proven to be the final straw in a relationship already strained by secrets and lies. The protective mother in Carly cannot and will not forgive Jack for putting her daughter's life at risk, regardless of whatever feelings she may have harbored for him. Currently, Carly has taken matters into her own hands by embarking on a covert operation alongside the cunning Valentin Casadini. Their mission is crystal clear: take down Jack Brennan and expose him for the manipulator he truly is. This partnership between Carly and Valentin demonstrates just how deeply Jack's betrayal has cut. Carly has moved beyond hurt feelings and wounded pride. She's entered the realm of strategic revenge. She's systematically dismantling whatever illusions she held about their relationship, forcing herself to confront the harsh reality that everything between them was constructed on a foundation of calculated lies and strategic manipulation. Jack's deception wasn't just about keeping secrets, it was about using their relationship as a cover while he pursued his own agenda, one that included enlisting her daughter into a dangerous organization. The situation grows more complicated as Carly comes to understand the full scope of Jack's betrayal. He didn't just lie about his feelings or his intentions. He orchestrated an elaborate scheme that involved her family. The recruitment of Jocelyn wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision, but rather a calculated move that Jack had been planning all along. This realization has transformed Carly's pain into cold determination. She's no longer the woman who was intrigued by Jack's mysterious nature and dangerous edge. Instead, she's become his adversary, someone actively working to ensure he faces consequences for his actions. The romantic connection they once shared has been completely obliterated, replaced by a burning desire for justice and protection of her loved ones. Once the truth becomes public knowledge and Carly officially ends things with Jack, the question naturally arises: will Nina Reeves make her move? Looking at Nina's romantic history, particularly her tendency to pursue men with direct connections to Carly, the possibility seems not just plausible, but almost inevitable. Nina has demonstrated a consistent pattern of behavior that suggests she's drawn to these particular men, whether consciously or subconsciously. Some might argue it's coincidence, but the frequency with which this occurs suggests something more deliberate. Let's examine the evidence of Nina's track record with Carly's former flames. The list is extensive and telling. Back in early 2020, Nina became romantically involved with Jasper Jacks, a man who shares a daughter with Carly and maintained a complicated but significant place in her life. Jax represented stability and sophistication, and his relationship with Nina came after his connection to Carly had cooled. Then there's Drew Kane, a man Carly shared deep emotional bonds with during his time in Port Charles. Nina jumped into bed with Drew almost immediately after ending her relationship with Sonny Corinthos, Carly's husband at the time. The timing of these romantic entanglements raises eyebrows and fuels speculation about Nina's true motivations. The situation with Sonny Corinthos stands as perhaps the most controversial example of Nina's pattern. Unlike the others who came to Nina after their relationships with Carly had ended, Sonny was still very much married to Carly when Nina made her move. Taking advantage of Sonny's vulnerable state after his amnesia and both his and Carly's emotional fragility, Nina didn't just accept Carly's leftovers. She actively stole him away during one of the most devastating periods of Carly's life. This wasn't about finding love in unexpected places. This was about inserting herself into a marriage that was struggling but still intact. The betrayal cut deep, not just because of the romantic theft, but because of the deliberate timing and exploitation of circumstances. Now we have Jack Brennan entering the picture as potentially the next name on Nina's list of Carly's former romantic partners. Jack brings his own unique appeal to the table. He's mysterious, powerful, connected to international espionage, and possesses the kind of dangerous charisma that seems to attract certain women in Port Charles. Once he's officially back on the market and nursing wounds from his relationship with Carly, he might appear vulnerable and available. Exactly the type of situation where Nina has historically inserted herself. Jack's position within the WSB also adds an element of intrigue and excitement that Nina has shown herself drawn to in the past. The question isn't really whether Nina would consider pursuing Jack Brennan, but rather when she'll make her move. She's already successfully maneuvered her way into relationships with Jax, Sonny, and Drew. Each of these men represented different aspects of Carly's romantic history, and each relationship served to further antagonize the already contentious dynamic between Nina and Carly. Adding Jack to this collection would be entirely consistent with established patterns. Why would Jack Brennan be any different from the others who fell into Nina's orbit after their time with Carly ended? Some might argue that Nina's attraction to these men stems from genuine connection rather than any vendetta against Carly. However, the consistent pattern makes such arguments difficult to support. When someone repeatedly pursues romantic partners who all share one specific commonality, their previous relationship with the same woman, it suggests something deeper than coincidence. Whether Nina consciously seeks out these men as a way to prove something to herself or to Carly, or whether she's subconsciously drawn to them because they represent some form of validation, the end result remains the same. Nina continues to find herself romantically entangled with men from Carly's past. As Jack's relationship with Carly implodes spectacularly and publicly, he'll likely find himself alone and potentially looking for comfort or distraction. Nina has proven herself adept at providing both, swooping in during moments of vulnerability and offering understanding that seems genuine, at least initially. Her ability to present herself as sympathetic and supportive during these crucial moments has served her well in the past. She knows how to position herself as the antithesis of whatever these men found frustrating or difficult about Carly, offering a temporary reprieve that often develops into something more substantial. The real intrigue lies not in whether Nina will pursue Jack, but in how this particular storyline will unfold differently from or similarly to her previous relationships with Carly's exes. Will Jack recognize the pattern and steer clear? Or will he, like those before him, find himself drawn into Nina's orbit, perhaps seeing her as a fresh start or a complete departure from the complicated dynamics he experienced with Carly? Only time will reveal whether Jack Brennan becomes the next chapter in Nina's ongoing saga of romantic entanglements with Carly's former partners. But if history serves as any indication, the odds seem heavily stacked in favor of another predictable yet dramatic repeat of this familiar Port Charles pattern. Next, we will learn about the explosive fallout from Portia Robinson's shocking revelation that has divided Port Charles and sparked intense debate among viewers. The truth about her intimate encounter with Dr. Isaiah Gannon while her marriage to Curtis Ashford was crumbling has finally surfaced, creating seismic waves throughout her family and the general hospital community. The Christmas holiday became an unexpectedly brutal battlefield for Portia as her deepest secret was laid bare for all to see. What should have been a time of forgiveness and family unity instead transformed into a relentless prosecution of her character. The revelation that Portia had been intimate with Isaiah hit her inner circle like a devastating explosion, with the repercussions continuing to reverberate through every relationship she holds dear. The timing couldn't have been worse, as the festive season that typically brings families together became the backdrop for one of the most painful family fractures General Hospital has portrayed in recent memory. Curtis Ashford, Trina Robinson, Stella Henry, and Marshall Ashford formed what can only be described as a united front against Portia throughout the Christmas celebration. Each family member took their turn expressing disappointment, hurt, and condemnation for Portia's actions. The emotional onslaught was relentless and showed no signs of the compassion or understanding that one might expect during the holidays. Curtis positioned himself as the wounded party, accepting sympathy and support from everyone around him, while Portia was left completely isolated from the people she loves most. The stark contrast in how these two adults were treated despite both contributing to their marriage's demise has not gone unnoticed by the show's dedicated fanbase. While her family gathered together to celebrate Christmas and collectively judge her choices, Portia found herself spending the holiday alone at General Hospital, throwing herself into her work as a physician. The image of Portia working through Christmas while her family enjoyed festivities without her painted a picture of complete ostracization. She was effectively shunned and exiled from her own family's celebration, treated as though her transgression was unforgivable, while Curtis's role in the marriage's deterioration was conveniently overlooked or minimized. This one-sided treatment has struck many viewers as fundamentally unfair and has generated significant discussion about double standards and accountability. The General Hospital viewing audience has been remarkably vocal about their dissatisfaction with how this storyline is being presented. Social media platforms have exploded with commentary challenging the narrative that positions Portia as the sole villain in this marital breakdown. One particularly pointed observation came from a fan on X who stated they were not receptive to the portrayal of Portia as the terrible wife while Curtis gets to play the innocent, wounded husband. The fan described this framing as feeling like gaslighting, suggesting the show is manipulating viewers into accepting a version of events that doesn't align with the actual history between these characters. Another passionate viewer expressed extreme frustration with how Portia is being painted as the antagonist while Curtis receives sympathy as an innocent victim. This fan specifically called out a particularly egregious moment when Trina invited Jordan Ashford to what is technically Portia's home for Christmas celebrations. The audacity of inviting Curtis's ex-wife to Christmas dinner at the house Portia shares with Curtis, especially while Portia was being excluded from the gathering, struck many viewers as unnecessarily cruel and disrespectful. This scene represented more than just poor judgment. It symbolized the complete dismissal of Portia's feelings and her rightful place in her own home and family. The Reddit General Hospital community echoed these sentiments with equal fervor, rallying behind Portia and questioning the show's decision to frame this storyline so one-sidedly. Multiple users pointed out that Curtis has been hosting what amounts to an extended pity party, accepting consolation and sympathy while refusing to acknowledge his significant contributions to the marriage's failure. His selective memory regarding his own actions and his unwillingness to take any responsibility for the state of their relationship before Portia's involvement with Isaiah has frustrated viewers who expect more nuanced storytelling from their favorite soap opera. The historical context of Curtis and Portia's relationship is crucial to understanding why fans are rejecting the victim narrative being crafted around Curtis. Long before Portia ever became involved with Isaiah Gannon, Curtis had already emotionally checked out of his marriage. His heart and attention had been gravitating back toward Jordan Ashford for months, and anyone paying attention could see the writing on the wall. Curtis had metaphorically placed one foot out the door of his marriage, maintaining only the appearance of commitment while his true feelings lay elsewhere. His gradual migration back to Jordan was evident in countless small moments and interactions that demonstrated where his loyalty and affection truly resided. Nobody is arguing that Portia made perfect choices in this situation. She absolutely made mistakes that warrant acknowledgement and discussion. Keeping her romantic encounter with Isaiah hidden was problematic, particularly given the possibility that Isaiah could potentially be Trina's biological father. This secret had enormous implications for multiple people and relationships, and Portia's decision to withhold this information was undeniably a serious error in judgment. The potential paternity question adds layers of complexity to an already complicated situation and affects not just Portia and Curtis, but also Trina's sense of identity and family history. However, Curtis's self-righteous attitude and his refusal to examine his own behavior has become increasingly difficult for viewers to stomach. His holier-than-thou approach to the situation ignores the reality that marriage problems are rarely one-sided. He conveniently forgets his emotional affair with Jordan, his constant comparisons between Portia and his ex-wife, and his general dissatisfaction with his marriage that he barely attempted to hide. This selective amnesia about his own failings, while harshly judging Portia, has created a frustrating double standard that many fans find impossible to support or condone. The silver lining in this entire painful ordeal has been watching Portia find genuine connection and support with Isaiah Gannon. Isaiah has proven himself to be a good man who treats Portia with respect, appreciation, and understanding. Their chemistry is undeniable, and their relationship appears to be built on mutual regard and honest communication. Isaiah sees Portia for who she truly is and values her in ways that Curtis stopped doing long ago. This new relationship represents hope and possibility for Portia beyond the judgmental confines of her failed marriage. One particularly powerful moment that resonated with fans occurred when Isaiah and Portia walked out of General Hospital together, hands clasped, heads held high with dignity and quiet strength. This image conveyed so much about their relationship and Portia's resilience. Despite the scandal, despite her family's condemnation, despite being treated as a pariah, Portia refused to shrink or apologize for seeking happiness and companionship. Isaiah standing beside her, offering his support through his presence and solidarity, demonstrated the kind of partnership Portia deserves. This scene was pure soap opera excellence, delivering both emotional resonance and a subtle but satisfying response to those who had cast judgment. The visual of them walking together also served as a pointed reminder to Portia's family about their own imperfections and past mistakes. After all, every single person who spent Christmas condemning Portia has their own history of questionable decisions and moral failings. Curtis has his complicated romantic history and his emotional infidelity. Stella has made choices she regrets and has interfered in relationships that weren't her business. Marshall has his own checkered past that includes abandoning his family for years. Even Trina, though young, has made impulsive decisions and errors in judgment. The lack of grace and forgiveness they showed Portia stands in stark contrast to the understanding and second chances they've all received for their own mistakes. The overwhelming sentiment from the General Hospital fanbase is clear and unmistakable. Team Portia has emerged as the dominant perspective, with viewers rejecting the show's apparent attempt to villainize her while sanctifying Curtis. Fans are calling for more balanced storytelling that acknowledges both parties' contributions to their marital problems. They want to see Curtis held accountable for his emotional abandonment of the marriage and his gravitational pullback toward Jordan. They want Portia to receive the same compassion and understanding that male characters typically receive when they make similar mistakes. This storyline has sparked important conversations about how soap operas portray women who make mistakes versus how they portray men in similar situations. The double standard is glaring, and General Hospital viewers are not willing to accept it without pushback. The audience is demanding better, more nuanced storytelling that doesn't rely on outdated tropes of the unfaithful woman as irredeemable villain while the straying husband receives endless sympathy and understanding.